Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Rockin' solo again today. Dylan's on his way home from Arizona. Wrapping up the weekend's games, we'll start in the American League. Toronto was in Cleveland. It was Cleveland sweeping the Toronto Blue Jays. Not really a surprise there. It's just been a disaster season for the Blue Jays. Got worse over the weekend. We'll get into that in a little bit. The Detroit Tigers took 2 of 3 from the White Sox. Texas swept KC. That's a big sweep for Texas to trying to get back into that playoff picture. Houston ended up sweeping Baltimore. That was a little bit of a surprise. Minnesota took 2 of 3 from Oakland. Shifting over to the National League, the Padres took 2 of 3 from Milwaukee. Washington took 2 of 3 in Colorado. Philly took care of business against Arizona, taking 2 of 3 in that one. The Mets took 2 of 3 from the Cubs. San Francisco Giants were swept by St. Louis. And taking a look at the Interleague, Pittsburgh dropped 2 of 3 to Tampa Bay. Atlanta took 2 of 3 from the Yankees. That was a pretty good series. Miami took care of business against Seattle, surprisingly, taking 2 of 3. Boston took 2 of 3 from Cincinnati. And the Los Angeles Dodgers and the LA Angels split a 2-game series. I go 8-6-1 on the weekend. Dylan goes 7-7-1. I go a game up on him, 11 games up now. Dylan's record is 187, 143, and 28. I'm 196, 134, and 26. I go 2-1 head-to-head against Dylan this week. Pretty decent week. Kind of just stayed ground there, I guess. But shifting over to this week's games, we'll start in the American League. LA Angels entertain the Oakland Athletics. I'm going to go with the Angels on this one. Oakland's been kind of sputtering a little bit after that hot start to the season. Angels have been playing better. Obviously, they're still building. They lost Zach Neto again to injury, which is unfortunate. We'll see if that is serious or not. 5-5 in their last 10. Just faced Ohtani for the first time on the weekend. Hit a couple homers against them. So, yeah, I am going to go with the Angels here. Cleveland at Baltimore. Baltimore's coming off getting swept. Cleveland just swept the Jays, so kind of both teams in opposite directions there. I am going to go with Baltimore here. This could be a really good series because Cleveland kind of just scraps across some wins. They're almost at 50 wins. It's crazy. They've won 5 in a row, so they're rolling right now. Baltimore's lost 3 in a row. They've lost 6 of the last 10. Still only a game and a half back of the New York Yankees, though. So still lots of time to figure that out in the American League East. But, yeah, I am going to go Baltimore here. Up next is Seattle at Tampa. Seattle on paper should win this series. I'm going to go Tampa. They're at the Trop. They just took 2 of 3 from Pittsburgh. They're not the same Tampa Bay Rays team we've seen. If it wasn't for the Jays sputtered out of the gates here, they would be probably in last place in this division, which is not what we are accustomed to seeing from the Rays. They always find ways to win. It's just been a tough year for them. They have won 6 of the last 10, and they're not as good at home this year, which is kind of weird to see. So we'll see what happens here. I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay here, but Seattle's got the best pitching ERA in June, so they could also win this series as well. Toronto at Boston. I'm going to go with the Red Sox here. It's, yeah, like I said, it's been a disaster season for the Toronto Blue Jays. They just called up their second prospect in their system, Morales Martinez, and 2 games into his major league stint, or career if you want to call it, he gets slapped with an 80-game PED suspension. Yeah, when it rains, it pours, I guess, for the Toronto Blue Jays. Not much has gone right this year. Probably going to become sellers at the deadline, which is outrageous to say for how big this payroll is and how talked about this core was. I hyped them up. I'll admit it. I thought they were going to at least contend for a World Series with this core, but it doesn't look like it, which is disappointing because I feel like wasted 7 years of Bo and Vlad, and you have a good pitching staff the last couple of years, and it just hasn't worked out. But yeah, I'm gonna go Boston here. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. I feel like these teams play every week. I'm gonna go Pittsburgh here, even though Jones and Skeens don't pitch in the series. Both teams are coming off series losses. Cincinnati dropped a series to Boston, and Pittsburgh, as I mentioned, dropped to Tampa Bay. So yeah, I'm gonna go Pittsburgh here. Two division matchups. So yeah, this should be a good one. Atlanta at St. Louis. I'm gonna go Atlanta here. St. Louis is coming off a series win over the Giants, and Atlanta lived up the hype against the Yankees. So yeah, both teams coming off series wins. So I'm gonna go Atlanta here. Washington at San Diego. Both teams are coming off series wins. San Diego took 2 of 3 at home against Milwaukee. Meanwhile, Washington took 2 of 3 at Coors in Colorado. Washington has been a surprising team. One game under 500. Not many would have thought that when the season started. Only a -9 run differential. So won 6 of their last 10. Over 500 on the road. So yeah, it's been a surprising season for them, and for the Padres, it's just been an up and down year. They're just kind of hovering around 500 right now, 41 and 41. Yeah, they're like Houston, right? They're just an up and down roller coaster right now. Like Arizona, or pardon me, Washington only a half game out of a playoff spot. Like it's been a really pleasant surprise to watch them this year. So I'm gonna go Washington here. I've took them the last few weeks and they've pulled through for me. So we'll see if that can continue. Rounding out the National League, it's going to be the Cubs at the Giants. I'm gonna go the Giants here, although they did just get swept by St. Louis, and the Cubs are coming off a series loss as well to the Mets. The Mets have been playing some good ball, but got tapped with a suspension. We'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, this should be a decent series. The Cubs right now are 2 games out of a wild card spot. They sit 37 and 41, so kind of been a tough go for them as of late. And for the Giants, are 3 games out of a wild card spot, 36 and 42 on the year. But they've lost 5 in a row and 7 of their last 10. So definitely going in the right direction. I gotta take them here, see if they can turn things around. Shifting over to the interleague, it's going to be Philly at Detroit. I'm going to go Philly here. Philly's one of the best teams in baseball, 51 and 26 on the year, coming off of a series win against Arizona. Detroit's coming off a series win against the White Sox. Detroit 5.5 out of a wild card spot right now. Yeah, I'm just going to go the Phillies here. It's going to be a good. It should be a good matchup. Yankees at Mets, battle of the 2 New York teams. I'm going to go the Yankees here. I almost actually took the Mets, although they did just lose their closer, Edwin Diaz, who has struggled most of this season after coming back from that knee injury he missed last year. Mets are climbing into that playoff race, 37 and 39. 1 game out of a playoff spot. They've won 8 of their last 10. Yeah, not many thought they would be knocking on the door for the playoffs here. They're at one point like 8 games out of a wild card spot, so they've made up quite a bit of ground here in the month of June, and they have one of the best records in baseball this month. So it's been a pretty surprising turnaround for them this month. Colorado at Houston. I'm gonna go Houston here. Houston has got it rolling right now. 7 of their last 10. Won 5 in a row. Just swept one of the best teams in baseball in Baltimore. They're finally picking it up offensively. Altuve's hitting leadoff homers, getting good pitching. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Oh, go back to the Yankees series. Stanton went on the IL, so we'll see what happens with that. See if that is serious or not. Dodgers at White Sox. Not much to say here. I'm going to go to the Dodgers. Mookie Betts' absence has just been filled at the top of that lineup by Ohtani, who just continues to mash home runs. A pair of home runs against his former team. That was the first meeting between the Angels and Ohtani since he went across town. And yeah, I am going to go the LA Dodgers here. Kansas City at Miami. I'm going to go Kansas City. Miami did take 2 of 3 against Seattle, which is kind of surprising with Seattle's pitching, but Miami took care of business at home. But I am going to go with Kansas City here. Texas at Milwaukee. Texas is coming off of a sweep over the Kansas City Royals, and it's a sweep that they needed, right? I mean, they're now 3 games under 500, 4.5 out of a wild card spot. They've won 4 in a row, kind of getting rolling right now, and kind of the team that we've been expecting. They did get Max Scherzer back in that series. He looked pretty sharp in his first start of the season. So it'll be interesting to see how big of a boost that gives that rotation. Obviously, future first ballot Hall of Famer, ace of that staff, right? So that's a huge piece for them. I'm gonna go Milwaukee here though. Milwaukee is coming into this game atop of the Central in the National League, 45-33. 5-5 though in the last 10. Like I said, coming off of a series loss, almost got swept by San Diego, but they ended up salvaging that last game of the series. And rounding out the interleague, we got Arizona hosting Minnesota. I am going to go Minnesota here. Arizona, I've took them too many times and they've burned me so many times. They're like the Mets right now. Two struggling teams that kind of rebounded in June. One game out of a playoff spot for the Diamondbacks. They did just drop a series against the Phillies. Phillies took 2 of 3. And yeah, this should be an interesting series. Two teams that need to get series wins. Minnesota in the second wildcard spot by 1 game. Kansas City is half a game back. It's going to be a tight race for that wildcard spot. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens here down the stretch and end of the deadline. So that's going to do it for this one. Just to recap, I got the Angels, Baltimore, Tampa, Boston, Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Washington, San Francisco, Philly, New York Yankees, Houston, Dodgers, KC, Milwaukee, and Minnesota. And Dylan's got the Angels, Baltimore, Seattle, Boston, Cincinnati, Atlanta, San Diego, Chicago Cubs, Philly, Yankees, Houston, Dodgers, Royals, Milwaukee, and Arizona. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Almost at 900 subscribers, so we appreciate all the love. And I guess we'll see you in the next one.